Hello. Hello. How are you guys doing? How are you girls doing? Everyone doing all right? Okay, so I just wanted to touch upon a few things that I have been working on, getting some questions about. And I thought it would be a good idea to answer some of the questions that I've been receiving. This is not entirely related to this coronavirus episode. I have been accumulating questions for a while, and then there is one topical theme, obviously the virus, but then obviously there are other things going on in people's careers, so I wanted to address them as well. Hmm. So let's begin with, let me see. So I received this question about, oh, big surprise, working from home. What's your biggest discovery after a week of working from home? Hmm. Well, you know what? I was actually working from home quite a bit before my mat leave started. So I actually think one of the biggest things for me personally was structure and boundaries. So I needed structure both in terms of physical structure, as in a work desk, and time. So boundaries on what time I would be working. So when I was starting out, I basically would say log on at 7 a.m. and be online till midnight. And that would just wear me down completely on some days. On other days, I'd struggle to get anything done. So it, for me, it was about boundaries and about structure. And I think quite a lot of the problems that you tend to have come back to those two things. But I also have blogged about this exact topic last week. Um, have a look. I will link it down below whenever I upload this video. I'm completely new to this YouTube live thing, and I need to have a look as to how to get about sharing the link. But yes, that's what I'll do. I'll put the link down below. I blogged about what are my top 11 learnings of um, working from home. Okay, so that's that question answered. What else did we have come up? Okay, so this one's interesting. Is it possible to move from being an analyst in consulting to a manager role in industry? Ha, really, it depends. It is definitely possible. I think anything's possible, right? It's your career and the possibilities are limitless. However, there are a couple of things to consider here, really. Um, One is that really what you want to do? Are you comfortable making that choice? And the second bit is, are you ready? So why am I specifically focusing on these two things? One is that what you want to do? As in, do you really want to move to industry from being a consultant? Um, and for many people, they think that, oh, exit option is the way out. But at times, consulting is a really, really fun life. And I would ask you to reconsider why it is that you are wanting to leave consulting. That's one. And especially at an analyst grade. I mean, of course, if you are manager, senior manager, I kind of understand there are other life things that come in and you might want to reconsider your career decisions. But as an analyst, I would slightly question that. And then the second bit about being ready. So when you say you are an analyst in consulting, sorry, um, would that really mean that you are ready to manage stuff in industry? I mean, think about it. It's in industry, managers are typically far more senior than your consulting managers. So I don't know. Would you really have the skills? Personally, if you ask me, when I was an analyst at Deloitte, of course, every analyst is different, right? So when I was an analyst at Deloitte, I already had about 5 years of entrepreneurial experience under my belt from my side gig when I was a student. So it was a very, very different case for me. I grew a lot faster. Uh, Also, when I exit to industry finally, which I did about a couple of years back now, I had about 7+ years of consulting experience under my belt, and also zero time on the bench. So when I say 7 years of consulting experience, I mean 7 years of consulting experience, at times multiple projects running parallelly. So it really depends. And uh, as consultants, and I mean, in consulting, I think there are analysts who I have seen who get into consulting just to exit as a senior into industry. um, if that's you, I again go back to my initial points about there's something to think about. If you think that you have all of the side experience required to be a manager, and you would really really rock that job, go for it, do it. um, the fact that you are asking this question tells me something about a term that's popularly known as the imposter syndrome. So the im- s- and everyone around generally would go on to say, well, the imposter syndrome is basically when you are ready, but you are just not confident enough. However, I would turn it around a bit and say, well, sometimes that's when you feel like an imposter because you just don't have the confidence, but you kind of know a lot about the subject. However, there are times when you are really an imposter. You don't know enough. You haven't managed teams. You don't know how to delegate. You really haven't done any end to end transformational projects. So, are you really ready? Are you not an imposter? So, that's something to think about. I'm not saying that you are an imposter, but there's definitely something to think about there, because these things need to be said. Otherwise, it would be really nice of me to just be wishy-washy and say, oh no, you are the greatest thing on the planet. But well, maybe you're not. And let's face it, only people you work with can decide that for you. Ask for honest feedback and do lots of self-reflection. And if you are listening to this, you know who you are. Ping me and tell me what's worked for you in the past, and I would love to help more on this. Definitely, definitely. Okay. Time for the next question. How did you realize that it's time for you to leave consulting? Hmm. So, uh, well, I am a bit weird, you know that. I was getting a bit too comfortable in my role, and that was a sign for me. If you are happy being comfortable in your job, you're probably not a consultant, you're probably not entrepreneurial enough. But to me, all of a sudden, the people, the process, the problems, and the solutions all started getting um, really familiar. So even if it was a new problem, I felt like I have already solved this before. And I knew it's only a matter of time. And if I spent enough time in the firm that I was working with, I would grow. But then I also realized, and this was me again, I also realized that for me to be a good consultant, I wanted to know what the industry perspective would be, what the other side looked like. Um, but then it's not the case with everyone. In fact, I know some fantastic consultants who have been lifers in consulting, and they are brilliant at what they do. And having said all of this, I'd also say that I never really left consulting, because I actually provide the same advise as a consultant would to my MD or my CEO. So the nature of my job, that's changed. It's become more of a long term project and multiple projects than a short 6 week stint. So it's a bit more transformational, and that's what I wanted at that point in time. I wanted to learn the transformation bit. But who knows? Hey, I really enjoyed my stint in consulting, my almost 90% of my career in consulting. So yeah, would I go back? Yeah, I would very likely go back. Okay. Do we have any questions coming up? Uh, okay, not on the live. Okay, I will go back to what uh, others have asked for on email. Okay, so then the last question I think I'll cover today is, how should I decide what career option to choose? I love this question. I really love this question because most people just jump into whatever they could get their career track on right after their university degree. But there's something inherently special about when you go out and choose and do what you really wanted to do. It's literally the choice that sets you free from any regrets. So if you fail, you know it's your choice. If you succeed, you know it's your choice. If you do a mediocre career, you know it was your choice. So um, for me it was important to choose, but anyway, I'm sidetracking. um, you choose, I think, based on your strengths, not your passions, based on your strengths. What are you good at? What gives you energy? Combine several skills that you have to get this answer. It's not like, if you are good at writing, you need to be an author. No. If you are good at writing, but also you're good at problem solving, you could be a consultant. Well, I keep going back to my example of being a consultant, but it doesn't need to be that way. You could say that, well, I am really good at problem solving, but I am not really good at writing, but I don't know, I just love sports. So you could actually go and do some analytics, data science, technical work in a sports company, a gaming company, something like that. Um, or you could say, well, I really like music, and I also really like to write. So maybe you should combine those two and figure out a couple of other strengths that you have or skills that you have to almost create the role that you would want for yourself. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I would leave you with. Okay, if you have any more questions about your career, drop me an email. So my blog is theabundancepsyche.com. My email is theabundancepsyche@gmail.com. And yeah, you would probably figure out how to reach me. I will also upload this video as soon as I figure out how to do that. And you can leave a comment below and I will get back to you on that as well. So yeah, that's it from my end for today. And we are actually doing this as long as I can throughout this COVID-19 quarantine period. So well, none of us have much going on, or maybe you do, I don't know. But yeah, I thought this might be a fun thing to do. And yeah, speak to you next week on the career session. But I'm actually doing a lot of other podcasts. I'll keep you posted on that as well. Thank you. Bye. Good night.